Hello, everyone, and welcome to our March webinar this year. So what we'll be doing today is getting a little bit into Hire2Retire, a brief overview of what we offer. And first things first, of course, let's get started with introductions. My name is Alexis, and I'm an account executive here.
My name is Dave Greenstein. I'm also an account executive here at RoboMQ.
My name is Cameron, and I'm one of our other account executives here at RoboMQ.
Hi, I'm Tom Scott, and I'm also an account executive here at RoboMQ.
Again, thank you all for your time for joining us today. What we can do is we'll get started with a brief set of slides to just briefly go over Hire2Retire in that context, and then we'll jump into the product itself and give you a little sneak peek into what we offer. So for the demo deck, I'll go ahead and pass it off to David.
Thank you, Alexis. Give me 1 second to bring it up on the screen. All right, excellent. So welcome to the webinar today. We'll just be giving you a brief overview of what the product does, and then I'll turn it over to Alexis to show you the demo of the product as she mentioned. So the people come to us because, and this is the problem that we solve. The management of new hires, change of roles, and termination is often a very manual effort and very difficult and time consuming for sysadmins to manage that process. And because of that, a lot of times things fall through the cracks, things get missed, and employees come in and they have a poor first day work experience because they walk in on the first day and not everything's set up for them. And you also have expensive, high-cost, skilled admin resources doing the mundane, thankless job of creating those accounts and maintaining those role and identity profiles. And they have a lot of other, more important and valuable tasks they'd rather be doing or should be doing. And then the delay by things falling through the cracks, you have a delay of timely removal of access. So terminated employees will have privileges are not removed, so it's a risk of a data breach or for employees that have already left the organization. These are some of the processes that the Hire2Retire product automates. During the joiner process, we'll create that full identity, including email, password, give them privileged access into applications they need to do their jobs, put them in the right groups. The gal and org chart placement gets created and is current, and then third-party access into those applications they need to do their jobs, and also integration with service desk platforms like Jira, ServiceNow, and others, so tickets can get created and assets can be assigned. As people move through their career, they have their privilege and access management will often need to be updated if they move from, say, sales to marketing or get promoted or change locations. And the Hire2Retire product will keep everything current and accurate in the gal and org charts, keep all that third-party access and group memberships current, and then email communication to who needs to get notified of those changes, including those additional tickets that need to be created in the ticketing system. And then as people leave the company, they get terminated, or either they retire, or if there's a sensitive termination, the Hire2Retire product can schedule those events and revoke privileges in a timely manner, so you don't have that risk. And then there's a full reporting and compliance hub also in the product, so that you're in ISO 27001 and SOC 2 compliance. Often we find with our customers is that employees are not put in the core payroll system until their start date. So what we also do is, with many of the leading applicant tracking systems, including several that are available through the HR platforms, like ADP and Paycom and others, we can, as soon as the new hire accepts an offer from the recruiting process, and while they're still going through the background check and drug test, etc., the Hire2Retire product can connect with those ATS systems, and then we can start the IT onboarding process. So we can create the full identity in an inactive state in the system, notify notify help desk and sysadmin people that laptops need to be sent out, desks need to be set up. Do that third-party provisioning so that when they walk in on their first day, everything's set up for them and they can have that superior first day of work experience that we provide. So this is what we deliver when the product is in place. We provide that superior first day work experience. You see a fully motivated workforce and everything's set up and they can hit the ground running on their first day. We keep that sync from the HR system from the HR systems across to IT at all times, keeping the GAL and org charts current. And then we're strong on role-based access control. Who should get access to what based on the privileges of their title or any attributes. And then access provisioning those third-party applications. And then because we can integrate with ticketing systems or we have a communication hub, what resources needs to be provisioned before their start date, and then we can also create those tickets as needed in the service desk platform. And then the last is that avoiding of security and compliance risks so as soon as someone leaves, their privileges are revoked, so you don't have the risk of somebody having access after their last day. And then you don't have the security risk and reputation risk of your company. So that's the presentation of the product. So now I'll turn it back over to Alexis to show you a demo of the product itself.
Thanks, David. I'll go ahead then and share my screen to the product. Okay, does everyone see this screen? Yes. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is when you log into the product, this is what you'd see. All of these are workflows, and while we do have a wide variety of HR systems and identity management platforms that we support, this is something that we're consistently growing. For the purposes of this webinar, I'll go ahead and show our ADP to hybrid Active Directory workflow. Now, in this case, I'll jump to the Identity tab, as this is where we make the bulk of our workflow decisions. And for HR data definition, this is the step where you can choose which attributes you want to send over to us from your HR system. Now, these are probably going to be the attributes that you want to sync to Active Directory, or that you want to use to organize who gets what distribution lists, security groups, and so on. Common ones you might see are going to be first name, last name, preferred name, job title, department location. Now, your HR team is probably already keeping these attributes current in your HR system as part of your current processes, but if not, it's important to note that doing so is key to making sure that your automation flows smoothly and your Active Directory is synced to as desired, as we do treat that HR system as our source of truth. Now, for lifecycle business rules, this is the step where you choose what exactly you want to automate at the various lifecycle stages. So we support hiring and rehiring, change of role or profile updates, termination, and various kinds of leave. Now, for each step, we have a wide breadth of features and functionality that you can take advantage of to align as closely as possible with your current processes. Whatever your current processes are, chances are we can go ahead and support that off the bat. So a few of our features that are commonly used might be creating accounts for employees, disabling or enabling them as needed, placing employees into certain OUs, and let's say they get terminated, they need to be moved to the terminated OU. We can do that, as well as for termination itself, maybe turning a mailbox into a shared mailbox and sharing it with the manager. These are all just a few examples of the wide depth of features we do have. If there are certain features that you thought would be really beneficial to your processes, but for some reason we don't have currently, let us know. We do have a customer-driven product roadmap, so we'd love to hear what you think would be beneficial, consider it, potentially give you an ETA, and within that time frame, you would see that feature you needed on the product at no extra cost. Now, group memberships is where we do dynamically manage a wide variety of groups, including security group, distribution list, Microsoft 365 group, and so on. And the way that we manage this is by attributes. So we do support and/or logic. You can get as complicated as you would like here. You can have as many rule sets as you would like. And for example, let's say someone gets promoted from HR associate to HR manager. We'll see that and know that in that case, they'll be keeping one distribution list and gaining another. So all of this, of course, can be handled by us. If there are any default groups you need to have, that's another thing that's just a checkbox. And since this is currently a manual process for lots of customers, we do have this little AI feature that you can use, which if you would like, it can read into your Active Directory, find patterns, and offer them up to you as suggestions. So for example, we might say, hey, we noticed that 93% of people with the job title Product Manager are being given access to this distribution list. Would you like to make that a rule on Hire2Retire? It essentially acts as a crutch of sorts to help expedite the process of getting all of this in place, as well as recognizing outliers. And this is something that is optional before going live, but once you do it, it's a set it and forget it sort of process. Of course, unless you did want to come in and add more rule sets or make any changes, in which case you can also easily do that and then go live again. Now, Communication Hub are custom data-rich email-based templates that you can automatically send out at any of these lifecycle stages. So for example, someone's joining the company and you want to send them a welcome to your first day at work email. You can choose when to send it out, whether it should be conditional or not, as well as, of course, what you want the content to be. So you can make this personalized, add your own company signature, for example, but you can also notably drag and drop attributes from your HR system or your identity management platform to really personalize this for every email that goes out. In this case, what would change is first name and manager attribute. We'll know who the manager is because we have insight into your gal, and not only that, but we do manage it dynamically as well. So some common use cases for Communication Hub might be sending a welcome to your first day email, acknowledging the company handbook, sending documents that might be required when someone's joining the company, sharing the password with the manager, and so on. And again, this is one of those set it and forget it sorts of features. Now, along a similar line, this Service Desk tab allows for any current tickets you send out manually to now be part of that automated process. So when you're looking at this, if you see any of these as familiar help desks that you might use within your company, note that we already natively integrate with it now. If you don't see it, let us know. We are consistently adding to this as well. And in the meantime, you can always connect with a REST API. Now, in this case, when it comes to sending a ticket automatically, it's very similar to Communication Hub. An example use case might be for IT provisioning. Maybe a new hire joins, and part of your process right now is for HR to send a ticket to IT that says, hey, first name, last name is joining on start date. Please get them a laptop. Please get them a desk space. But maybe you only send that email if the employee is working in office. Otherwise, why add the desk space requirement? Those sort of use cases are all able to be handled by our Service Desk feature and made part of an automated process. Now, the Access tab is where you can choose which third-party applications you want to automatically provision and deprovision access for. There might be some third-party applications that already come to mind to you that your company uses. Common ones might be Salesforce, DocuSign, Zoom, Slack, etc. If any of these icons look familiar to you, note that we already have native integration with them on Hire2Retire, and you can use them at any time, however many times you want, at no extra cost. If there are any third-party applications that you don't see on our platform and would like to make sure that we have, as it would be really beneficial to your current processes, let us know. We are consistently adding to this list with every feature release. That's every 4 to 6 weeks. So we're really interested in your feedback. If that comes to mind, please send us an email afterwards, and we're happy to look into that for you. Now, the Observe page is where you can really get visibility into every step that Hire2Retire has been doing. You can either view it in an overview fashion like this, or if you want to see really granular details, you can always go ahead and click this icon for an employee, which will show you which attributes we're getting of them from your HR system. what it looks like in Entra ID. And for example, Entra ID doesn't actually save your previous value, but we will save it so that you know what their value used to be, what it is now, and as a result, which security groups were added, removed, or retained. Same for Microsoft 365 group, distribution lists, and so on, so you can really see in depth the access changes that are happening here. Notably, you can also pipe all your rich data into your archival or BI with this audit trail feature. So we support AWS 3, MySQL, and Azure Blob, and this ties into what David was saying earlier about being able to check off things like ISO 27001, SOC 2, and even general compliance requirements to prove, for example, that you do timely terminations. Rather than that being a manual process, now it's just something you can check off that Hire2Retire supports. Now, one more thing to show here is this optional review tab. It sort of acts as a stepping stone between what might be your current fully manual process and Hire2Retire's complete automation. So for some customers, it's a bit of a big jump, and they would prefer to have a little bit more control as to who's getting what access. And if that's the case, you can always go ahead, put it in supervised mode, which will enable this review tab. And when you do get a request for change, you'll see that it looks very similar to the observe page, but the difference is, while it does show what changed in your Entra ID, information such as which security group was added, removed, or retained has all not happened yet and will only occur once you have accepted this request. So it gives IT a little bit more control over access and privilege, especially if beforehand it was a little bit more of a manual process. So that was a really brief overview of what Hire2Retire offers. There is a lot more features and functionality that we can certainly get into. If there are any specific ones that you have an interest in, or you'd like to see a customized demo where we compare what your exact current process is for onboarding and offboarding with what Hire2Retire offers and see if we're a good fit and how we could help handle your specific use cases, let us know. What we'll do is after this webinar, we'll go ahead and send an email with the recording of the webinar as well as contact information so that if this is an interest and you think it could benefit your company, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to get on a meeting with you and really dive deep into your current goals, processes, and if you have any timelines as to when you want to go live, let us know and we'll adjust accordingly. But regardless, thank you so much for the time you've taken today to let us go a little bit into what Hire2Retire offers and see if it is something that could be beneficial to you. Thanks for spending a little bit of your time with us today. And like I said, we'll send you that follow-up email if there's anything you're interested in. You'll have our contact information to reach out to us. But either way, thanks again for your time and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.